The federal seat of Melbourne is Victoria's smallest electorate, comprising of Melbourne CBD and a number of inner-city suburbs north of the Yarra. These include Parkville, home to the University of Melbourne's largest campus, and neighbouring suburbs such as Carlton, Princes Hill, Carlton North, Collingwood, Fitzroy, Abbotsford and Richmond. Adam Bant was first elected as the member for Melbourne in 2010 when he became the first and only Greens member in the Australian House of Representatives. There is strong support for the Greens in Melbourne, where half of the population are under the age of 30. There are 4 candidates challenging Bant on May 18. Tony Pecora and Luke Kristie will appear on the ballot paper, but both have been disendorsed by their parties. The remaining candidates are Reason's Judy Ryan, the Animal Justice Party's Lawrence Pope, the Independent Dave Blake, and Lauren Sherson for the Liberals. The Greens' plan to abolish fees for TAFE and undergraduate degrees is clearly popular with younger voters. Farrago asked Mr Bant how the Greens plan to pay for this policy.
Bearing in mind, of course we used to be able to do it and the budget could afford it. We think by standing up to the top end of town and closing some of the tax breaks that exist, that see some big multinationals paying next to no tax, that see 1 in 3 of our biggest corporations paying no tax, that see coal and mining companies getting in fact tax subsidies, handouts from taxpayers.
Labor candidate Luke Kristie was forced to resign after it was revealed he made inappropriate comments online. We asked Bant what the Greens offered Labor voters who might previously have voted for Kristie.
I would say 2 for the price of 1. By voting for the Greens, we'll keep the Conservatives out because I'm not going to support them. They need to go. But I'll be there to hold the next government to account. On a number of things, it's clear that Labor needs a green hand on their shoulder and they need people in Parliament who will hold them to account and keep them on track. The Labor government in Queensland is backing the Adani mine, and Labor candidates in Queensland and the Labor MPs in Queensland are saying they want Adani to go ahead. And we'll be pushing to Labor to say, you've got to review this based on the new information, and if you do that sensibly, then you could come to no other conclusion other than no new coal. So our plan is to transition off coal, get off fossil fuels and get to 100% renewables by 2030. I think that's actually really appealing. Like the challenge for us is getting that plan out to people. And what we find is that if you do a blind taste test and put 3 policies in front of people and don't tell them which party it comes from, we do really, really well.
In 2013, Bant challenged himself to live on the New Start allowance of around $35 a day. We asked him about the Greens' policy for New Start and youth allowance.
I think the starting point is that young people are getting screwed. We've got to lift New Start and youth allowance by $75 a week because it's you can't live on it at the moment without missing out on some of the basic essentials of life. I spend a lot of time in this job in public housing. We've got more public housing than anywhere else in the country here in Melbourne. We've got a lot of big disparities of wealth here in Melbourne, and we've got some communities that find themselves regularly under attack from the likes of Peter Dutton whenever he talks about African gangs. Sometimes action in Parliament when you have a Conservative government is stopping them doing bad things.
Bill Shorten or Scott Morrison?
Bill Shorten. Yeah.
Monash University or Melbourne University?
Tricky. I've got a degree from Monash, so I'll get in trouble if I don't say that, but Melbourne's in my electorate, so I'm going to sit on the fence.
Okay. What about Farrago, Unimelb's student magazine, or Lots Y?
No, probably Farrago.
Farrago, there we go. And finally, who has more barrister-looking glasses, you or Julian Burnside?
I had mine first. I'll leave it up to the fashionistas to assess that.